What happens when unstoppable pressure meets untouchable precision?
In on him.
But he was hurt. That's the first
In on him.
But he was hurt. That's the first.
Oh! Massive knockdown for Topuria! And still!
Looking for darts. Yeah, looking for darts. Dustin's got to be careful here. Oh, that's tight.
Oh, it has! Islam Makhachev with a submission in round 5. The throne remains in Moscow.
One answer, a UFC mega fight for the ages, one that could change the fate of the UFC's 2 most stacked divisions. If you haven't guessed it yet, we're talking about the super fight between Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. Stick around to find out what the hype is all about.
Another massive fight would be Ilia versus Islam too. Thing is too is that Islam moves up, and obviously if Islam won the title, you immediately have a super fight with him and Ilia. So
could that
Islam, one guy that keeps talking about you is Ilia Topuria. Do you have a message for him? He really wants to fight you.
He's a good fighter, but for me it's nothing. Just his name. I don't need his name. I need the belt.
There's a tweet from Ilia Topuria that he can go up the weight and he can beat you with no problem. What do you think about that?
With Islam, at some point I will connect that punch, and everything will depend on what God will decide. If he wants to send Islam to sleep or not, who knows that? I know that.
With Ilia Topuria vacating and saying, I ain't a featherweight no more, I'm a lightweight now, 1000% he's next in line for that title shot. I believe this is the biggest fight that you could make for Islam, and I think Islam deserves that.
Here's why this fight is so big. On one hand, we have the undisputed lightweight king Islam Makhachev, the pressure king. He swept one of the most stacked divisions in the UFC clean, defending his UFC title 4 times, with a 15-fight win streak that puts him at the top of the food chain. He now eyes welterweight gold, challenging current champ Jack Della Maddalena to become a 2-division champion.
Islam's not scared of anybody. The man is a phenomenal champion, a ridiculous fighter, and he's got a complete skill set.
On the other hand, we have the new lightweight champion, the most fatal firefighter to date. Now flexing his new double champ status after beating Charles Oliveira, Ilia Topuria now hunts for his next kill. His run at featherweight has been nothing short of extraordinary, with 7 wins and 0 losses in the UFC, folding the best of the best, like laundry.
Ilia Topuria, he's still undefeated. He's still a crowd favorite. Are all those things true at 155 pounds? I want to find out.
After the UFC 317 knockout, Ilia has been quite candid in his pursuit of the Dagestani.
At some point, I was a little bit sad because I didn't want to fight against him since the beginning. My real goal always was Islam. But since he decided to run away, it has to be Charles.
But this isn't just about belts. This fight, it's personal now. Let's take a look at the timeline of their verbal warfare online. It all started in March 2025. Topuria threw the first jab, fresh off becoming the UFC's first Georgian-born featherweight champion. Ilia Topuria didn't hold back. He called out Islam publicly, saying, "I'm preparing for Islam Makhachev, but he is afraid. He said he didn't want to give me the opportunity because I was the little guy. And now the little guy is the one looking for the same opportunity." The featherweight king already had his eyes on top of the food chain, and by the looks of it, he wasn't shy to ruffle the lightweight king's feathers by accusing him of ducking a real fight. Fast forward to May 15th, 2025, Islam answers with a sharp cross, saying, "You ran away from 2 contenders with consecutive wins in the FW division. You're a nobody in the lightweight division. Just a big mouth from Spain with a nice haircut. Go get 1 win, and then we can talk, boy." Just a few hours later, Topuria responded promptly, hitting back harder. "Islam is the biggest hypocrite I've ever seen." He even roped in Ali Abdelaziz, the Dagestani crew's main man manager, saying he should be thanking him for not beating his star. He said he put everything possible on the table, and they still ran. This was the fight that everyone wanted to see. And his closing statement? Pretty straightforward. Why chase Islam at welterweight? If someone runs away, you don't have to bully them. I don't want to fight people who don't want to fight me either. In June, Topuria doubled down on his criticism of the Dagestani. In a recent interview, Ilia called out not just Islam, but Khabib too. They act like they invented the sport. Sit back, enjoy your son, and do what you're told. And when questioned about Islam's dominance, he didn't hold back. Islam's only dominant because he hasn't fought me. Now he wasn't just chasing the fight, he was attacking the entire Dagestani legacy over here. So, understand that this isn't just banter anymore. It turned into a raging fire real quick, with the fans joining in too. Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, you name it. Some casuals joked around saying, "It'll be hilarious if both these guys lose before the fight ever gets made," while the more seasoned spectators obsessed over the stylistic matchup, deciding who to bet the odds against. But deep down, everyone knew this is a super fight waiting to happen. But don't just take our word for it. Here's what a legend of the game, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, had to say. According to him, much like anyone with experience in MMA, it's hard to make that prediction due to the sheer skill level of these two. However, during an interview with Submission Radio, he seemed to have favored the Dagestani. Breaking it down technically, he laid out Islam's game plan.
Well, Islam's a southpaw, so he's gonna probably throw body kicks to keep his arms busy, keep the distance, move, feint, maybe use some judo to take him down and try to get him to the ground and try to submit him.
He continued, adding an irrelevant marker of success for Islam, saying he'll have to see what Islam does to Jack Della Maddalena. Onto Ilia's game plan, he hypothesized that Ilia is always going to be hunting for that right angle, finding that weak spot of his opponents to unload the finishing shot. Johnson closed, saying,
"If Ilia can't get there, then he's gonna figure out another way to get there." So,
speaking of game plan, let's take a look at why this is such an interesting matchup, stylistically and technically. To keep it short, here's the crux of it. One breaks you over 5 rounds, the other ends it in 5 seconds. Let us explain how. First, we'll take a look at the fan favorite, Ilia the Matador Topuria, who's a striker, and more precisely, a sharpshooter with an exceptional aim. Considering he has 6 finish wins in the UFC with a 49% striking accuracy rate. But don't let that take away from his outstanding grappling, which he uses for his pressure passing, scrambles, and submissions. He has a whopping 92% takedown defense rate. Let's take a look at the Volkanovski fight. Alexander Volkanovski didn't just lose, he got knocked out for the first time in 29 professional fights, ending Volkanovski's 4-year reign as champion. And Topuria? He made it look easy. On the other hand, we have a contender that's carrying Mr. Abdulmanap's legacy with him. The direct understudy of Khabib Nurmagomedov, fighting under the American Kickboxing Academy, and coach Javier Mendez. Islam's pressure game is a problem as big as Mount Fuji, with a 62% takedown accuracy, a 91% takedown defense rate, and nearly 4 takedowns per 15 minutes. But that's not all. His striking has cleaned up enough for him to surpass his teammate and now coach, Khabib. Islam's pinpoint timing accuracy and fluid defense make him a problem to deal with, especially in the pocket. A stunning 1.27 strikes absorbed per minute make him one of the hardest fighters to hit, whereas his striking accuracy goes up to 60%, with 2.46 strikes landed per minute. Now, doesn't that already have you on the edge of your seat? If you are, we have some news for you. Realistically, this fight cannot happen before 2026. And let us break it you why. Fighting is one of the toughest sports on the planet. One of the primary reasons for both fighters to move up weight classes is that both of them are tired of cutting so much weight. Why do you think Islam moved to 170 after vacating his belt? Why do you think Topuria fought for his second title at 155 and not 145? Because the body needs time to adjust and recover. The UFC is also taking its merry time to milk both of these freak athletes. Topuria has actually made it pretty clear that he aims to become a 3-division champion. First at 145, now at 155, and then eventually, against Islam, at 170. But he's publicly stated that the UFC isn't on board with him at 170 now. According to him, Islam moved up a class because Islam is tired of making 155. He is ducking him, and the UFC is in cahoots with him because they don't want to see him get knocked out. Islam is yet to respond, but here's the more pressing question that's been on every MMA fan's mind. Does Islam drown him in deep waters? Or does Ilia land the shot heard around the world? Find out in the next video. Until then, let us know who you're betting on in the comments below, and hit that like and subscribe button to see more of Fight Lab, where we cover it all.